this Minneapolis that we all know and love, right? This amazing city. It's beautiful. It's being top rated as the best place for young professionals. It's green. Everybody exercises here. As a native, I feel very proud to be from this place. There's also this other side to Minneapolis. We have some of the worst racial disparities in the country. What's the authentic, real Minneapolis? That kind of tension between these identities is something that is a similar tension that can be measured just in identity in general and specifically within myself. I have slowly started working self-portraits into my work, especially with the piece from Made Here, which is called Mirror Image. I don't really know why I wasn't painting myself. Maybe it was because my work is already about me. Identity is not something that's solid and singular, that it is varied and fluid and has multiple different components to it. The theme of the Made Here exhibition this go-around was reflections. All of my work is about reflecting on my past, my family, my relationships, my identity. It's a reflection on everything that's going on in my life. Made Here is outside of the typical gallery, museum kind of space. Their main goal is to put local artists in vacant storefronts and spaces where it's just not very visually appealing and just kind of inject that with art and conversation. I wanted to make a piece that not only referenced the themes and stuff I was already working with, but also I wanted to have this idea or reflection of community and place. I like painting large scale because I feel like, especially with figurative paintings, that it allows the viewer to really connect with the figure. I mean, if you're looking, directly in the eye of the subject or the person that's being painted, you can really have kind of like an emotional connection. I've always been interested in social constructs, how we label things, how racial categories and things can intersect, or where it becomes muddy, particularly pertaining to people of mixed race. I mean, it's always kind of an underlying root to the work. When I'm making a painting, I do try to reference a specific moment or narrative or personal experience because I feel like then there's something tangible that people can connect with, a relationship, whatever it may be, to talk about how that larger system impacts something smaller. For the longest time, I was hesitant to talk about my own racial identity and background in my work just because I didn't really know what to say about it. I was in 5th grade. I remember we were taking one of those standardized tests, and there were probably 5 check boxes, and all of them had a very specific race: white, black, Latino. I checked the African American box because that was the only one that I thought, it was the first time that I was actually confronted with having to label myself as a race at 10. And I just remember being really confused by the question, but that's the box that I chose. And I went home and I told my mom about it, and she asked me, "So why did you check that box? Why didn't you check the white box?" And I was like, "I don't know, I guess. I don't know." Like it was this like weird kind of epiphany where I realized I was a racialized being, one, and two, that there really wasn't a box for me. It kind of just made sense to start making work about that because that was kind of the thing in the back of my mind that was always like, eating away at me, and I couldn't really keep it quiet anymore. For the longest time, I wanted to paint a picture of both of my grandmas together. I had an opportunity when my grandma was up for my cousin's wedding to take a picture of both of them here, and that was super awkward but awesome at the same time. My grandma on my mom's side, her name is Ruth, and she was born in Denmark, and she traveled over here on a cargo ship in the 40s. And then my grandma from my dad's side grew up in Chicago. I was initially inspired by a painting by Frida Kahlo titled Two Fridas. A lot of her work is about her identity. Instead of using myself like she used herself in the painting, I wanted to use my two grandmas. Obviously they're parts of me, so it was, I think, a unique way to talk about me without really showing me. Color is really important to me. You can look at my palette and see that I pre-mix all the colors because I don't really want to use anything out of the tube. One of my professors told me skin's not just like peach and brown, you know, and I'd always painted figuratively, but I had always kind of used the typical colors, and it was like that feedback that really pushed me to start not using any peach or brown, like any like typical skin colors, and I started just painting with like a whole range, you know, like purples and reds and yellows to try to get the different tones in the skin, and then it just kind of stuck. This is a painting of my youngest brother, Daniel. He's in a transition in his life right now where he's going from just my little brother to a Minneapolis police officer. For me, this transition is interesting because he has always just been my little brother. That's his identity to me. To the rest of the population, you know, he's a black male, a young black male. Now that he's becoming a police officer, his identity to the public changes. I mean, he puts on the uniform and all of a sudden he is not, you know, a young black male, he's a police officer. And so that duality of identity or the identity shift is really interesting. I think art has many roles. Not all art has to be so controversial or conversational, but I think for me, that's the artwork that I'm mostly drawn to, and that's the work that I want to make, is work that does make you think and does have an impact, and hopefully, potentially, can inspire and change communities. I mean, that's really the end goal, I think.
When you play the qeej, essentially you're kind of just talking to the deceased spirit. You're giving directions, take a left here, follow the chicken here. The qeej was created to kind of keep the dead dead. It's important to my culture because it's unique and no other culture really has instruments similar to ours, and it makes us stand out for who we are. In the Hmong culture, it's part of the Hmong funeral ceremonies. The qeej is played throughout the night. The qeej song that I'm playing today, it's a song that's more related towards the people that come visit the deceased. They usually bring an animal offer to the deceased. The song talks about the relatives bringing a cow, how they offer the cow to the deceased, and how the cow doesn't want to go, but it has to go. At the funeral homes, when they're playing the entertainment songs called Noondurs, about halfway they'll stop and then they'll sing the song. The audience or like the people attending to know what the song is about. The clothing that I have on is traditional Hmong clothes. As you can see, the story cloths a little bit, the bandal, as well as coins. And what the coins represent back then was wealth, so the more coins you had on, the more wealth. Nowadays, it's more just to keep the tradition alive. When I was about like 3-4 years old, we watched this video and I saw a man performing and I told my mom, like, Mom, I want one of those. So then she told my grandma, and then my grandma ordered one from Thailand. And then like when I was about 6 or 7 years old, that's when they enrolled me at the program at the Hmong Cultural Center. When I'm teaching my students at the Hmong Cultural Center, first we sing the song and then I would blow in and they would follow. Try it again. The hardest part about teaching the Qeej to students is just memorizing, because it's not written down on paper or anything. Okay, good. Nechu, why don't you continue from that part on? So you're gonna blow the second one. Usually they would get it. If they don't get it, I'll take out a piece of paper and then like draw the little circles and dots on it, and I'll draw it out for them with the inhale and exhale too, and then they just learn from that to help them out on some more of the difficult parts. At the funeral homes, there's a stick that you could think of as like a door from the real world to the spirit world, and we're gonna practice using it here just to show the student how it's done. What I like most about teaching is seeing the students be excited when they're actually learning, and like once they actually get it and they're actually blowing it, you can tell that they're actually kind of like amazed that they actually know how to do it and they're able to continue learning the Hmong culture. Dragon cat. Culture is, I believe, like your identity. If in the future the Hmong people don't know their own culture anymore, then I think that's kind of sad. Okay. David, you could use some work on your chicken. We'll fix that. The Qeej point part of my culture. I just want to keep preserving that and make sure that like it continues on, tradition just keeps going. That's what's most important to me.
Everyone thinks that their feet are very unusual, but the more feet that I measure, the more I realize that all feet are very unusual, and most feet don't fit into a manufactured shoe properly. Sorry, it's true. The shoes that I make, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I find them to be lovely objects. Like when the shoe is done, it really is satisfying when it looks very good. But looking at that finished shoe, I don't think that there's any way that you can know all of the steps and all of the work that goes into it. It's a very intensive process, focus intensive, it's material intensive, it's expensive. Every part of it is just kind of like rich and deep and beautiful, but also rather difficult. Hey Paul, come on in.
Hey Amara, here for the shoe fitting.
Come on in. If you could place your foot like right here, so I can trace around.
Okay.
And then I'll lay it flat.
Like this?
Yep. Figuring out how to learn how to make shoes is one of the hardest parts about making shoes. There are not many places to learn. So for me, I started out at the School of the Art Institute in Chicago, and having gone through that program, the next step for me was to learn more about fitting. And so I decided to learn from a cowboy boot maker, and I realized that there was a lot of holes in my knowledge. And so I went to Sweden and learned from a maker in northern Sweden who makes men's shoes and riding boots. And so I'll take your measurements and I'll use this as a base on which I'll alter the last to fit your foot. A last is the form that a shoe is based on. There are both wooden lasts and plastic lasts in circulation right now. I totally geek out with lasts. I really love lasts. They're ugly lasts. They're lasts that don't fit. Those are the two things that make a bad last, according to me. Why would you use an ugly last? I mean, you probably just don't know, but it's like, how can you make something beautiful that's shaped very ugly? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Thanks a lot, and I'll See you in about 10 days.
Sounds great. I'll
All
give you a
right.
call.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Paul. My first master that I work with, DW, he said that on every shoe, for every project, you should pick 3 things to improve upon, like 3 problem areas, and 3 things that you did really good. He's like, if you pick more than 3 things that are bad, then you're just like being too hard on yourself. And if you pick less than 3 things, you're not being realistic. One of the reasons why I really like shoemaking is that I feel like I'm a part of this long trajectory of makers. My tools, most of them are quite old. Actually, they're older than my mother for sure. So I use many types of tools, including hammers, lasting pincers, knives, shoe tacks, sandpaper, rasps, awls, sewing machine, all kinds of tools. That's the thing about shoes that's kind of scary, is that like every single part is kind of important. And so like once you mess up, then like you have to do the whole thing over. But you just get to learn to live with fear all the time. Just kidding. The leather itself, it feels soft but firm. Sometimes, especially on the American leathers, they have a lot of personality. And by personality, I mean scars, branding marks, weevil holes. Some makers don't like that. For shoes, generally, you want a smooth, pristine leather, which is why European leathers are really top shelf. I have a lot of different kinds of leather. And up here on the wall, I have some really special ones that are special to me. These 6 skins are from Iceland, and they are fish skin leather. These are both redfish, so they're just tanned in different ways. One is compressed and one is kind of loose. This is salmon skin, and these are both monkfish, I believe. They're so beautiful. I really love them, but I'm not really sure. They're like so special that I don't want to use them, which is silly. You should use your special things. An important part of what I do is doing more sculptural or conceptual or performative types of shoes. It's a way that I can test out ideas and let my imagination go crazy. You know, there's really no rules. With conceptual or performative or artistic work, the emphasis is less on wearability and longevity, but more on experimentation and just let my imagination go and see where it leads me. Lately, I've been hand polishing my shoes and spit polishing my shoes, so actually spit is like a really nice tool. And you put a lot of work into making a pair of shoes, you know? So like it's nice when that finished product looks really good. Kind of like a final loving touch. I work really hard on all the shoes, and by the time that they're completed, I feel like there's a piece of me that goes into them, and I try to bring my positive energy and my best self to the work. Not that you have to know that's like a labor-intensive job, but that the labor is kind of the beauty of it.
One of my favorite ways of using music is improvising in response to movement and visual stimuli. It's the easiest way for me to play is to watch the way people are moving. I think there's like a really natural dialogue that happens between movers and musicians. musician, composer, songwriter, producer, pretty much anything that needs music, I try to force my way into.
Good. Nice and wide. Shift.
Here at Zenon Dance School, I accompany modern dance class and some ballet classes, and when you improvise with dancers, you really tap into something in your DNA. So it feels really easy and really natural, which is why it's my favorite way of playing.
Here we go. Good. Yes. Good. Good. Great.
Part of the reason that I do so much stomping and stuff is because I think piano alone is not supportive enough. So I try to turn these pianos into half percussion, half melody and harmony. And that's when I started playing with putting things in the strings that would make it more of a drum. If you open yourself up to being affected by movement, then it becomes a really powerful tool, not only to connect with people, but also as a means of generation. I mean, most of the music on my record that I just put out was generated in dance classes.
What a brave expression. What a sight for tired eyes to be filled to the brim with people sad and scared, lonely and feeble, renting islands in the sky, renting islands, but that's got nothing to do with me, though I celebrated skeleton constantly. I could say it's my city, but the line grows long behind me and in front of me. I took a bus downtown to the epicenter of sound. Now I'm full of resistance. It all looks so gone from such a long distance. My skyline, my city, so very little to do with me. My skyline, my city is like a familiar face in the strangest place. Seems my islands run aground. My islands run aground. So now me and my baby have to leave or stay and go crazy. And though the future is hazy, we're getting by. I mean, she still cries. Why do I feel so lucky looking up at my skyline, knowing it's my city? Have this pane glass giant devouring me, devouring me. My skyline, my city, so very little to do with me. My skyline, my city is like a familiar face in the strangest place. It seems my islands run aground. My islands run aground. My islands run aground. Run aground. My islands run aground. run aground.
This program is made possible by the state's Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.